For all things... Hang on, give me a second. For all things Halloween, this is hauntformer, and I am back with a review of the Purge election year. So, my friend Jared and I, we saw this movie in theaters, and it was pretty interesting indeed. It follows along the story of the other two Purge movies, but this is sort of the concluding time period, if you'll say, because there's this senator, or as the guy pronounces it, senator, in the movie, that basically wants to stop and end the Purge. And there's this really creepy intro scene where basically this guy's gonna kill a bunch of people to We Got the Funk and all different kinds of stuff. But basically, she wants to stop the Purge, and the government doesn't want her to, so they send people, hitmen, to basically kill her. And her, along with the character from the second movie, who I can't remember his name, have to basically survive the night. And a whole bunch of crazy stuff happens. Probably the last third of the movie is the best part of it, but overall, the movie is not too bad. It's not great. There are some laughable parts, like
everything.
A lot of things, as Jared will tell you too. But I'll give you one example. Not that you're gonna care about this spoiler, because it's very minor, and you can see it coming from a mile away. But these two characters are basically laughing in the street, and you see a van coming. Yeah, sure enough, they get hit by the van, and it sounds kind of crazy, but it's actually kind of funny when you see it on screen. But it's definitely an interesting movie. It's not a bad movie, but it's not the best. I'd say the original Purge is probably the best of the three, and this maybe is the second best. It's got some interesting parts, like at the end where they're all shooting each other. So, for my personal review, I'm going to give the Purge election year a 3 out of 5 skulls. So, don't just take my word for it, because now we're going to have a look at Jared's review.
Stupid American. Sorry guys, wrong audience. Anyways, Mac and I, as he might have said before, saw the Purge 3 election year in theaters Thursday, the night before it came out, officially. So we kind of got, the early screening, and there were a lot of people at that showing, and so we didn't know what to expect because, the other Purge movies were pretty good. I've only seen the first one the whole way through, actually. The second one I've only seen parts of. And I have to say, the third one, election year, was pretty good. Now, I know there's people online saying this was horrible, like Jeremy Johns, but I didn't have as much of a problem with it, because there were some enjoyable parts in it, and maybe it was because I was seeing it with Mac, and we, have a little fun with movies. But, overall, yes, there were parts in this movie that were legitimately horrible. Like, some of the acting in this movie was pretty bad. I will not lie about that. And you'd think for a movie, like The Purge, they would, get people to kind of get their acting skills a bit better, but that's not why we see The Purge, Mac? That's not why we see The Purge. We see The Purge because we want to see The Purge actually happen. Something that this movie, and also The Purge Anarchy, showed a little more of. They showed actual people on the streets and what they do, instead of the first one, which was pretty much a home invasion movie, where it was just one individual family getting purged. But for this, we got to see a wider set and cast of characters, and we got to see how that spanned out through the night. So, with all that being said, this movie was pretty creepy in some parts, especially when you have the Russians dressed up in the American, old American-style costumes, which were on the trailer, and it was actually what Mac built for his haunt builds with the Statue of Liberty mask. So, those parts were legitimately creepy, and I will say they were probably more creepy than parts in The Conjuring, which is pretty crazy because The Conjuring is a creepy movie, but parts of this were a little more realistic, so those parts were creepy. So, I don't want to drag this review on for too long, so I'm going to give The Purge election year a 3. Now, I don't agree with Mac on a lot of things, well, except for, Mountain Dew. But, no, I agree with Mac. But, but I'm gonna give the Purge election year a 3 skulls because even though this movie really wasn't the best, it's a movie like Friday the 13th. It's enjoyable because of how dumb it is sometimes. And so I am going to go with Mac and give it a 3 skulls. And I hope you guys check this out, honestly. If you're into the Purge series or if you're just into horror movies in general, go check out the Purge series. It's a really interesting story. So if you're into that, go check out the Purge election year.
And remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.